Prior to declaring bankruptcy, 50 Cent was paying $108,000 a month to rent a massive estate with 18 bedrooms, while T-Pain's bankruptcy was so severe that he had to take out a loan only to purchase Burger King. But let's start by discussing DMX, who was forced to declare bankruptcy 3 times because he was unable to pay child support. As you can see, DMX had 17 children with 11 different women, and nearly all of them led to a lawsuit or a child support order. A genetic test revealed that DMX was the father of an unclaimed child, for instance, and this, together with his waning music career, led to his first bankruptcy filing in 2008. He was then sued for $1.5 million in child support. A separate ex-partner sued DMX for an additional $1 million in child support 4 years later in 2012. A year later, he filed for bankruptcy a second time. In 2016, when he filed for his third bankruptcy, it was found that DMX had accrued an additional $1.7 million in unpaid child and family support, in addition to $950,000 in bank debt and $1.7 million in tax arrears. DMX was sentenced to 6 months in prison for the child support and another year in prison for the unpaid taxes because he had nothing in his bank account. After being freed from prison, he was additionally ordered to pay $2.29 million in reparations to the government. However, DMX never got the opportunity to repay the entire sum because he passed away in April 2021. Additionally, despite having a large family, DMX never left a will, so even after he was buried, his family continued to be embroiled in financial disputes. While Tyga had a fair amount of luxury spending, he was undoubtedly better at handling his child support payments. After building a prosperous career as a rapper, Tyga's name made headlines when he bought his lover a $200,000 Mercedes Maybach and was $480,000 delinquent on the rent of a fancy Malibu house. Tyga's landlord sued him as a result, but he didn't appear in court since he was on vacation in Turks and Caicos. This wasn't the first instance of Tyga spending a lot of money in one area while falling behind in another. For instance, Tyga's Ferrari 458 was repossessed in the parking lot in 2016 while he was looking for a new Bentley since Tyga had not been making loan payments. Tyga was spotted admiring a brand new Lamborghini, but he would later buy another Mercedes Maybach, a Land Rover, a Rolls-Royce Ghost, and a Rolls-Royce Cullinan, all of which were repossessed for non-payment. A third lawsuit involving property was filed in 2020 after Tyga accumulated over $200,000 in damages and unpaid rent on yet another rental property. In addition, Tyga was sued for $181,000 by a second landlord in 2016 after skipping rental payments once more. In addition to his ex-girlfriend Blac Chyna accusing him of not paying child support, it was later disclosed that Tyga was facing a court order to pay $200,000 in unpaid jewelry. To top it all off, Tyga owed the government $890,000 in taxes during this time. Despite everything, Tyga continues to flaunt his extravagant lifestyle on social media, a luxury that rap producer Scott Storch, who amassed $70 million in less than 3 years, is unable to afford. Scott Storch earned this money by producing for some of the biggest names in music, such as Jay-Z, Dr. Dre, and Kanye West. However, his insane net worth started to decline after he bought a $10.5 million mansion and an insane collection of supercars, where he kept more than 20 employees, including a boat captain in case he wanted to go out on his yacht. Although this isn't what he would do, Scott continued by outlining the costs of this lifestyle and saying that there wouldn't have been any issues if he had been working there. As previously said, Scott stopped performing music and instead developed an addiction to Miami's nightlife. With no income coming in and $1 million spent each month, it was only a matter of time until Scott ran out of money. 3 years after reaching a net worth of $70 million, Scott declared bankruptcy in 2009. Scott would declare bankruptcy a second time 6 years later, claiming to have $3,600 in assets, $100 in cash, $500 in apparel, and a $3,000 watch. Most startlingly, he earned a grand sum of just $10,000 in 2014, and his music enterprises are worth $0. Perhaps because he experienced a similar circumstance himself, Fat Joe was one of the only rappers to maintain their friendship with Scott during this adversity. In 2007, 2008, 2009, and 2010, Fat Joe made $1.18 million, $1.28 million, $265,000, and $630,000, respectively. But even though Fat Joe earned this $3.3 million in just 4 years, he neglected to pay taxes on it. Even though he was able to raise $718,000 and had done a lot of charitable work, the judge was not satisfied and Fat Joe was given a 4-month prison sentence. Less than 4 years later, Fat Joe made headlines once more after the IRS disclosed that he still owed them $1.1 million in taxes, despite accepting personal responsibility for his conduct, by saying, "There was a lot going on in the years that I didn't file my taxes, but it was my responsibility." But compared to Fat Joe's pal Lil Kim, who owed nearly 4 times as much and was apparently too impoverished to declare bankruptcy, this amount was nothing at all. Lil Kim didn't have quite as much success as some of the other rappers on this list, but that didn't stop her from using a mortgage to buy a $2.3 million property in 2002. Kim's music career slowed significantly in the 2000s, and by 2018, she was declaring bankruptcy because, even after 16 years, she's still owing $2 million on her house. Kim also owes the government $1.85 million for 13 years of unpaid taxes, along with an additional $185,000 for unpaid legal bills. When it was revealed that Kim was only making a pitiful $18,000 a month by 2018, with $2,000 going to staff, another $2,000 to clothing, and $10,000 to travel expenses, she had less than $4,000 a month to pay off her $4 million debt, which made the bankruptcy even worse. MC Hammer wasn't quite as fortunate, but Lil Kim was able to somehow get her finances in order and have her bankruptcy filing rejected. MC Hammer was unable to avoid financial difficulties even though he had the 5th best-selling hip-hop album of all time, which sold 17 million copies and included hits like "You Can't Touch This." He purchased 21 racehorses, 2 helicopters, a private plane, and more than 17 expensive cars. The estimated value of some of the horses was $1 million. However, his house incurred the majority of his costs. In order to create his ideal home, he spent an additional $30 million renovating a $12 million residence in Fremont, California. To the 40,000-square-foot estate, he added a bowling alley, a baseball field, a basketball court, a recording studio, a movie theater, a 17-car garage, tennis courts, and 2 swimming pools. His trademark baggy pants, which became known as Hammer Pants, were the shape of one of the pools. He erected a gold hot tub in his bedroom and placed multiple marble statues of himself throughout the property. In order to maintain the seamless operation of the property, he paid an estimated $500,000 each month to a workforce of about 200 employees. It should come as no surprise that MC Hammer declared bankruptcy less than 5 years later, at which time it was discovered that he had not only spent his entire wealth of $70 million, but also collected an additional $13 million in loans from more than 200 separate lenders. His ideal home in California cost $42 million in all. It only brought $6.5 million when it sold. But if we're talking about the bank taking back costly mansions, we also need to discuss Birdman, who has a net worth of $110 million, making him the 15th richest rapper in the world. However, this is what distinguishes Birdman's tale. Why was the bank taking back his Miami property for non-payment if he was worth over $100 million? Birdman had paid $14.5 million for the house in 2012, but by 2017, the bank had filed for foreclosure, and according to the quotation, all of the personal belongings in the house, including dozens of pairs of shoes, a pool table, and platinum records that adorned the walls, were seized and put in storage. Perhaps take Birdman's bankruptcy with a grain of salt. The bank eventually sold the property for $10.85 million in July 2020, but Birdman's attorney has come forward to clarify that the foreclosure was caused by unlawful loan terms set by the bank. T-Pain has now spoken on numerous podcasts to detail the severity of his bankruptcy, so there is no question about how he went bankrupt. At his height in 2007, T-Pain had amassed a net worth of over $40 million, and all of his closest rap pals told him that as long as he continued to rhyme, the money would keep rolling in. Because of this, his spending started to spiral out of hand. He bought a Bugatti along with a $400,000 necklace and residences for his coworkers, which was particularly problematic because T-Pain never even checked his finances. T-Pain started to produce less songs during this time, and a few years later, his accountant was warning him that he was on the verge of going bankrupt. T-Pain appeared to be certain that he had a lot of money left, But after learning that he would need to borrow money in order to buy meals, reality struck in. But since the last individual on our list makes this amount seem like pennies, T-Pain was fortunate to escape with a loss of just $40 million. 50 Cent. In addition to releasing the 10th best-selling American hip-hop album of all time, 50 earned over $100 million from an investment in vitamin water and an additional $78 million from a deal for luxury underwear. 50 Cent made an estimated $300 million in just 2 years in the late 2000s, so when he announced in mid-2015 that he was declaring bankruptcy with debts over $32 million, everyone was thinking the same thing. How did this occur? After one of their collaborations went awry, 50 Cent was ordered to pay $17 million to a headphone maker, and he was successfully sued for $7 million after uploading a sex tape with Rick Ross' girlfriend. Following the demise of his boxing firm, 7S Promotions and film company, G-Unit Productions, 50 Cent's apparel brand, G-Unit Clothing, also lost its prominence. During the entire process, 50 Cent's investments lost value due to the global financial crisis, and by 2015, his monthly income was a pitiful $185,000. One could argue that this was sufficient to help 50 get back on his feet. Though bankruptcy records show that 50 Cent still owes money to his stylist, fitness coach, and his barber, $108,000 of this monthly income was used to pay for an 18-bedroom mega mansion, while the remaining $77,000 was used for menial things like his gardener. In spite of this, 50 Cent started spamming social media with posts like this one, using $100 bills to spell out the word broke. In just 2 years, he paid off $23 million of his $32 million debt. After eventually going back to zero, 50 Cent has amassed a net worth of $40 million over the past 5 years, according to Google.